She grabbed the guard's sword, smirking, thinking she had pulled off the boldest stunt of the day. But her triumph lasted exactly 1 second. A sudden thunderous stomp on the stone, an iron grip on her wrist, and a voice like a clash of thunder. What happened next shocked even those who thought they had seen it all. But let's start from the beginning. London, Buckingham Palace. The sun glistens on the golden gates as tourists press against the bars, trying to steal a glimpse inside the royal residence. The air carries a blend of scents, freshly baked croissants from street vendors, warm asphalt, and the crisp coolness of the spring breeze. The murmur of the crowd mingles with fragments of conversations in different languages, the click of cameras, and the occasional burst of children's laughter. Motionless, like a statue, a British guard stands before the palace. Tall, fit, with sharp facial features. He is clad in the traditional red tunic with gold buttons, black trousers, and boots polished to a mirror shine. His face is hidden beneath a massive bearskin hat, giving him an air of unshakable discipline and unwavering duty to the crown. In his right hand, he grips a sheathed sword, not a weapon for battle, but a symbol of authority, discipline, and honor. The surrounding crowd behaves as expected. Tourists keep their distance, point at the guard, whisper to one another, and snap selfies. Even the most carefree visitors show a degree of respect. But not Karen. She stands out, not just in attitude, but in appearance. Karen, a 45-year-old American woman, is full-figured with bright pink hair tied into a high ponytail with messy strands sticking out. Her face radiates a smug confidence, her lips curled into a self-satisfied smirk. She is dressed boldly, tight leopard print leggings, emphasizing her wide hips, and a stretched-out t-shirt that reads, "I do what I want," leaving no doubt about her attitude. In one hand, she holds a plastic cup of soda. The drink is nearly gone, but she loudly slurps the last drops through her straw, making an obnoxious gurgling noise. Then, with a wet smack, she pulls the straw from her mouth and lazily wipes her lips with her palm. The crowd is minding its own business, but that's not enough for Karen. She wants attention. She scans her surroundings and spots her companion, a thin, red-haired woman in her 40s, hiding behind oversized sunglasses. Unlike Karen, she seems uncomfortable, standing slightly apart, pretending she doesn't know her. But Karen doesn't notice, or doesn't care. She steps forward with confidence, raises her voice, and provocatively declares, "These British guards are just clowns, standing here like robots." Several people turn their heads, staring at her in confusion. But Karen loves the attention. She feels like the main star of the show. She steps closer, her voice growing louder, bolder. "Honestly, I should check if he's even real." A murmur ripples through the crowd. Some people chuckle, others frown in disapproval. Karen notices the reaction. Her smirk widens. She has her audience. "What if I take his sword? What's he gonna do?" Instantly, the air thickens with tension. Teenagers raise their phones. Cameras switch to video mode. An elderly couple with cameras shakes their heads in disapproval. Some laugh, others turn away. Some whisper among themselves. But Karen won't stop. She knows she has the crowd's full attention. With a dramatic flourish, she raises her hand and yells, "All right then, watch this!" The crowd freezes. People instinctively step back, sensing something is about to go very, very wrong. Karen steps forward. She is now dangerously close to the guard. Her face twists into a cocky grin, her eyes sparkling with thrill. She is basking in her own audacity, eagerly awaiting the crowd's reaction. The guard remains still. Not a single muscle moves. His stance is flawless, his gaze fixed straight ahead. But Karen can't be stopped. She reaches out. Her fingers tremble with excitement. The crowd holds its breath.
She reaches for the sword's hilt. Someone in the crowd mutters under their breath, "Is she seriously doing this?" But Karen is no longer thinking. She is acting.
Buckingham Palace, London. The crowd stiffens. For a few endless seconds, the entire square seems to fall silent. Even the wind stops rustling through the trees. Karen's fingers wrap around the sword's hilt. Her nails dig into her palm as she grips the cold metal. She feels its weight, its smooth surface, the power contained within its structure. It lasts a fraction of a second, but in her mind, it's an eternity. And then, she pulls. Instantly, everything erupts into motion. The guard comes to life. A thunderous stomp echoes against the stone, a sharp, commanding, heavy impact. It feels like even the air trembles at his sudden movement. A blur of motion. His previously motionless arm snaps forward with unrelenting precision. A steel grip. Karen doesn't have time to think, doesn't have time to process. All she feels is pain. The guard seizes her wrist with the precision of a machine, his grip like iron, as if he had locked her entire arm in place. A jerk. Her wrist twists at an unnatural angle. Ah! Karen's scream tears through the air. The crowd collectively gasps. Shock. Frozen faces. The guard's voice booms across the square, shaking the air like a war drum. "Stand back immediately." His voice is cold, unforgiving. It slices through the noise like a blade against stone. Karen chokes on her breath. She can't move. Her body locks in fear. Her eyes dart wildly, like a cornered animal. The crowd explodes into frantic energy. "Did you see that? Get your phone. Record it. Oh my God, what did she just do?" Shutters click. Cameras roll. Karen jerks her hand away, stumbling back, clutching her wrist, now red with the imprint of the guard's grip. Her face contorts with rage and pain. "What the hell?" she screeches, breathless. The guard does not move. Not an inch. He has already returned to position as if nothing had happened. As if Karen didn't exist. Her jaw drops. Her mind reels. He touched her. He dared to lay hands on her. This silent, arrogant British soldier had humiliated her. Karen steps forward again, furious. The crowd buzzes. Someone chuckles. Oh my God, is she really going for round 2? She's so dumb. But Karen doesn't hear them. She burns with humiliation. She can't let this slide. But she never gets the chance. 2 security guards in black suits are already approaching. "Ma'am, step back." The voice is firm. Karen freezes, and in that instant, this stops being a game. Buckingham Palace, London. The crowd buzzed, whispered, murmured. Some recorded videos. Others watched with awkward curiosity, and a few laughed openly. Karen was fuming. Her body shook with outrage. Her face was flushed red. Her throat was dry from shouting, but she wasn't backing down. Her chest heaved. Her eyes flashed with a mix of fury and adrenaline. She threw her arms in the air as if declaring war. "I am a U.S. citizen!" The reaction was instant. The crowd erupted in laughter. Some people snorted. Others covered their faces to stifle their giggles, but the laughter spread like wildfire. Karen didn't hear the mockery. In her mind, this was different. She wasn't just shouting. She was a brave woman, standing up for justice. She was fighting for her rights. "I will sue!" she shrieked, her voice turning into a piercing screech. "He hit me!" The crowd stirred. Somewhere in the middle, a loud, mocking voice called out. "You grabbed his sword, dumbass!" The crowd exploded. A group of teenagers clapped sarcastically. A few people burst out laughing. "In the U.S., you'd probably get shot for that." A man in a New York Yankees cap chuckled, shaking his head. Karen looked around. She searched for support. She expected to see at least a few people standing up for her, but instead, all she saw was a wall of smartphones, grinning faces, and disapproving stares. Everything had gone wrong. They didn't fear her. They didn't support her. They were mocking her. She refused to accept it. She couldn't lose. Not like this. She straightened herself, shook her head, took a deep breath, and then screeched, "I demand an apology!" Her voice sliced through the air, making a few people in the crowd instinctively flinch. She stomped her foot. "I want to speak to the manager of this palace!" The crowd howled with laughter. "Why not go straight to the Queen?" someone shouted, sending another wave of hysterics through the crowd. Someone zoomed in on their phone camera. On the screen, Karen's furious, contorted face filled the frame, her hair flying in all directions, her cheeks burning red, her eyes wild with rage. Karen didn't hear the laughter. She only heard herself. She knew that if she backed down now, it was over. She had to finish this fight, but security had other plans. Security arrives. 2 security guards in black suits had been watching the spectacle in silence. They weren't laughing. They weren't whispering. They were just waiting. Until now. The moment Karen threw her arms up again, one of them, a tall man with a square jaw and dark sunglasses, gave a small nod to his partner. One tiny nod. That was all it took. No words, no discussion. The decision was made. The tall guard stepped forward. His stride was slow but confident, deliberate. There was no emotion, just calm inevitability. For the first time, Karen hesitated. Something tightened in her chest. She didn't understand why, but she felt it. "You are leaving the premises immediately." It was like a lightning bolt hit her. Her mouth fell open. Her breathing hitched. She had no words. "What?" Her voice cracked, suddenly high-pitched and sharp. She tried to step back, but bumped into someone in the crowd. She spun around looking for allies, but there were none. Just smartphones, just a crowd, waiting for the grand finale. "You have no right." The guard didn't flinch. "I am a U.S. citizen. I can do whatever I want." The crowd shook with laughter. Cameras flashed, phones kept rolling. They would remember this forever. Without a change in expression, the guard stated coldly, "No, you cannot." And then he grabbed her elbow. Karen froze. Everything had gone wrong, completely wrong. Buckingham Palace, London. Karen yanked her arm back, but it was too late. The guard's firm grip held her in place. The second security officer, a stone-faced man in sunglasses, had already positioned himself on the other side, blocking any escape. She struggled. She twisted. She tried to break free, but her movements were weak. Pathetic. They dragged her. No words, no explanations, no ceremony. The crowd parted, giving them space, but no one looked away. Karen, stumbling, was marched toward the gates of Buckingham Palace. And then the laughter began. Loud, unrestrained. Someone whistled. Someone cheered. Someone clapped, as if watching a circus act. Karen couldn't believe it. Her cheeks burned with shame. Her eyes darted across the crowd, desperately searching for one sympathetic face. But everyone was laughing. Smartphones lit up her path of shame. The final verdict. At the gates, the guards halted. Behind them, the crowd buzzed, but the line had been drawn. The security officer released her arm, but he didn't step back. His face was indifferent, as if he were merely closing the door on an unruly passenger, and then he spoke. "You are banned from the premises." The words hit Karen like a hammer. She snapped her head up. "What?" She blinked, stunned. "What?" Her voice wavered. She looked around. No outrage, no protests. The crowd was grinning. The laughter hadn't stopped. "You have no right!" Karen stepped forward, but the guard didn't even move. His sunglasses-covered eyes seemed to look through her. "I am a U.S. citizen. I can do whatever I want." The crowd roared. Someone clapped. Someone shouted, Try that at the White House. The laughter was everywhere. The cameras kept rolling. Karen realized she was being filmed, but she hadn't yet realized she had lost. The guard shook his head. No, you cannot, and firmly took her arm again. Karen froze. The fear hit her. Her second chance was gone. It was over. And then, the internet made sure it would never be forgotten.